Welcome to Beyond the Bout, the podcast that dives deeper into the people, passion, and purpose behind the fencing strip. Each month, we sit down with coaches, organizers, and innovators who are shaping the future of fencing. In today's inaugural episode, two staples of the fencing community, Lefty Zlotnick, founder of TBT Scorekeeping app, and Mike Griffin, president of NJIFA and head coach of Hunterdon Central Regional High School. Today, we're going to explore their journeys, swap some stories, and take a look at where the sport is heading. So let's get into it. Mike, how are you today? Thank you for joining us.
I'm great. Thank you for having me. Hi, everybody.
Lefty, thank you for joining us as well.
Great to be here. Appreciate both of you guys being part of this.
Mike, what inspired you to get involved in fencing? What was the origin story for Mike Griffin?
Like many kids in New Jersey, I started with Voorhees High School's fencing under the tutelage of Jim Lawless back in 1989. I was wrestling for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I really enjoyed the sport. And we had a special assembly in PE class, and then they brought out fencing. And I said, wait, this is a real thing? I'd never seen fencing before. I was like, they're going to give me points for hitting someone with a metal stick? I'm in. From that point on, I was like, I'm doing fencing. And I'm glad that I did. I had a really great freshman season. I took it all the way up to the Junior Olympics through high school, and I even competed in college a little bit. I went to West Virginia University. They had a club team. The club team was loosely organized. It was more a social kind of event, but it was still fun. And we would travel to a couple tournaments in Maryland, or we'd go up to Ohio. It was fun, but I let it fizzle out. My daughters were born. My wife and I have 3 kids. And I was looking for a way to be able to make a little extra money. And right here where I live in Hillsborough, the YMCA was running a fencing program. They needed a new coach. At the exact same time, a coaching position at Hunterdon Central opened up. So I was like, oh, if I'm going to do this, then I have to get some training as a coach specifically. I knew the sport, but I needed to understand what it meant from the other side as a coach. So I went down to where I was trained, Bucks County Academy of Fencing, and I started to take coaching lessons. They taught me how to be a coach very quickly. Now, I'm a teacher during the day, so it was very easy for me to transfer a lot of my classroom experience over into coaching, which made it a little bit easier. Then I followed the USFCA steps to become certified, and I've been doing that for 15 years.
Some journey, by the way. Congrats. Lefty,
Thanks.
how about yourself? What got you involved in coaching?
I started fencing in high school. As a freshman, I had joined the marching band, and a lot of the band members at the time transitioned from one to the other. So I followed suit. I was marching band and then fencing. Did that under the tutelage of Barb Lynch, who was another staple in the fencing world, both within New Jersey and nationally. After I graduated high school, I went to college, and unfortunately, there were no fencing teams or clubs where I was at the time. I made sure to go back and be a volunteer assistant coach. So got my sub-certification and became a volunteer assistant coach for Morris Hills High School. Did that for 7 years and then continued as a paid coach for the next 9 years. So I was the assistant coach for Morris Hills for 16 years. And then I joke, I finally graduated high school and went to college and became the assistant coach for Drew University 3 years ago now. I did compete a little bit on the national level, but for me, it was really about the coaching. That was the part that really struck home with me. So being the strip coach, teaching kids how to fence, and doing the same thing I did, not knowing much about it as a kid, learning only about it in high school, and then taking those kids and making sure they become the best they can and hopefully fence in college. I did a lot of refereeing as well. I got my referee certification and did that on the national scale. At this point, with the new rating system, I am a N2, which is the second highest in the national rankings that you can be for epee. That's pretty much my story. I just enjoy the coaching. And now that I'm at Drew, I enjoy the recruiting process as well. And it's all about getting people involved, getting students involved. Like Mike here, I'm a teacher by day, coach by night. So we have our secret identities, but it's an amazing community. And I just love giving back to it and being part of it.
Both of you bring a wealth of experience coaching. What is the most rewarding part of coaching for you guys?
The high school scene, when I was there, it was just taking a bunch of kids who really didn't know what they were doing in the beginning and developing them into an almost championship level team. They competed at high level against people who did go to club and did go to outside competitions. My epee squad one year was undefeated at Citrullo and districts undefeated. And these are kids that really didn't do much in the beginning, just teaching them and giving them confidence and the skills they need. They themselves really honing in. That's the best. That's the most rewarding. Watching someone take what you're giving them, expand upon it, and do what they do for themselves and give back to their squad by helping each other and build each other up. For me, that was the most rewarding part, just watching that cycle of teach and learn and develop and grow and compete together, supporting one another.
Mike, your team had a banner year this year. What do you think has been the most rewarding part of coaching?
I agree with Lefty on this. I think the process of being able to introduce a brand new sport to someone and then see them take it and grow, especially if you get somebody that starts with you as a freshman that has no prior experience. And then by the time they're a senior, they're running the team, encouraging new people to join. That process is something very unique because in mainstream sports, most kids come to day one of high school having already played the sport. In the very least, they've hit a volleyball or they've played soccer at recess when they were kids or baseball. They've had these opportunities. But we like to joke about this. Imagine fencing in a public park. The police would be called and we would be arrested. There are people fighting with swords in the park. You can't do that. Usually, the people that come to us with some experience are the ones that have fenced in the clubs. But even to this day, I coach in Hunterdon County. There are only a handful of clubs out there. So year after year, we start that same process over and over again. I agree with Lefty. It is really thrilling. I would like to add one thing to it, though. If I could narrow the lens down, my favorite part is when you get a brand new fencer who's been fencing for maybe a season, maybe a half a season, and you have to pull them up onto the varsity strip.
Yes.
And and they do their best. Usually the outcome isn't in their favor, but they're doing their best and their team is cheering them on. You've got those experienced seniors going, you can do it, you can do it, come on, stay in it, giving them all the pointers you get. And then the ref calls a final halt. And the fencer has no idea where they are. They have no idea what they're doing. They're shaking violently. They lift up their mask, are what we call shark eyes, because their pupils are so dilated from the adrenaline. They're trying to unplug their wire. They can't handle it. Are you okay? Just breathe. As a coach, you're worried about their health. And they say, that was the most awesome thing I've ever done in my life. And
That's
you help them
amazing.
off the strip, sit them down, and the rest of the seniors go, that was great. We have a lot to learn, but that was great. I think that's my favorite
Awesome.
part of coaching.
I'm actually going to flip it to the seniors. At least at the college level, we had a senior a couple years ago who was the captain of the team. He was not the best fencer, but he was the heart and soul of the team. Everyone respected him, looked up to him. It was his senior year. It was our last meet. We put him on the strip for his last bout. Every single member of the team was there watching him and cheering every single touch. And he ended up actually winning the bout, which was fantastic for him. And the rush, similar to in high school, it's 13-13. You're getting that last touch to win the meet. Everyone just rushed him. It was amazing. We actually created an award named after him because of his spirit and his soul for the team. That atmosphere and that camaraderie and the sportsmanship and everyone being there for one person because that person embodied everything that they are standing for and working toward. For me, that was a magical moment in my coaching experience.
You both have done an excellent job of conveying the real emotional component. I'm curious, on the business side of this, though, what's a common misconception about fencing that you think people don't understand or should be cleared up?
I think there's a lot. A lot of people don't realize that they even have fencing in their high schools. This past Olympics in Paris, one of the interviewers was interviewing one of our fencing team, and they said, "Oh, I think they went to the same high school as I did." Yeah, that was Chatham High School, the state championship team. And now they're fencing on the Olympic level, and the announcers, they didn't even realize that A, they had a fencing team, but B, also state champion. It's ironic because fencing's been around in every single Olympics since 1896. It's one of the four originals that are still in the games, and people still find it like a foreign sport, something that's not well known. And our job is to be able to promote that and make people a little bit more aware of it. Unfortunately, youth athletics tends to focus on those sports that have the loudest voice.
Lefty, what's a common misconception you think people should know or you'd love to clear up about the sport?
Mike touched upon a really big one, being almost invisible. You've got your core four sports, your baseballs, your footballs, your soccers, your hockeys, and so on. but fencing has been around for a while, and there are quite a number of high schools that have it. But I think one of the biggest misconceptions that I've noticed is the safety issue. A lot of parents came to us in the beginning unsure of how safe is this sport. You're allowing my kid to hit someone with a sword. Statistically speaking, fencing is one of the safest sports in the world, even safer than badminton. Statistically, it is factually true. Very safe sport. You have a lot of protective gear that you're wearing. The swords are not sharp. People think this sharp, long blade. That's not the case. But the big thing, I'm going to use a very politically incorrect statement. It's a gentleman's sport. It is all about sportsmanship. And that's a big misconception. The safety and the sportsmanship factor, I think, are the two biggest things that people don't know about fencing. We are a very safe sport. You let your kid do it.
Yeah.
But the sportsmanship part of it, fencing is literally founded on that. And that's part of the building of the human being that is participating in the sport. A lot of sports, yes, they do teach that, but not at the same level and not at the same time. It's taught right at the beginning. The first thing you learn how to do is salute your opponent or your coach. You don't have that in any other sport. So right away, the first thing you're learning to do is be respectful and be a good sportsman. That's something that I think the world needs to really recognize.
If you could wave a magic wand, what would help raise awareness, promote the sport?
This past season, we've been experimenting with televising and broadcasting meets. Finally, we're at that point where technology has caught up with what we're able to see on the screen. For a long time, if you would just video fencing, you'd see people just going back and forth and nothing in between because the blades move so fast, they couldn't be caught on the camera. So you would see a whole bunch of action, a light go off, and a referee put some hand signals up, and it wasn't very spectator friendly. Over the years, we've been trying to make the venues more spectator friendly, and with different repeater lights and different scoring systems like TBT, we're trying to bring the audience into the sport a little bit more. I'd like to see more broadcast opportunities, dressing up the space and using lighting and bringing the idea of a dramatic fencing duel back to the sport where it originated from. A lot of people forget that our sport come from the original duels. And we still have that thrill of the fight that happens in there. But to be able to broadcast and bring our spectators in a little bit more, this year we broadcast both the Citrullo Santelli tournament and also our state finals. They did a wonderful job. We even had a couple of well-known fencers that were the commentators. So the dialogue going back and forth and the announcements, it was actually fun to listen to. And they even had an opportunity where they could pause and slow down so that you could see the actual blades moving. Whenever the audience can see that, it's like a light goes on. Oh, I understand. This is essentially a game of tag. And if they can see that and we can bring them into that little moment of time, that would be something I would like to see our sport really promote and bring in. Getting the word out there, using all the technologies that we have available to us to make the sport more spectator friendly.
Lefty, this isn't just theoretical for you. What are your thoughts around moving the sport forward, raising profile, etc.?
I 100% agree with Mike. With the app that I co-created, it was to bring the spectators in because when it first came out, it was COVID. We couldn't have spectators in the gym, let alone in the building. So this was our way of getting them involved and giving them a chance to follow what's going on in a room that they can't see. And I would love to see more broadcast and more spectator-friendly versions and combining all the technology that is out there and what we've been working on and just partnering up and teaming up to do what's right by the sport, right by the spectators. These spectators are parents. It's not just some random person tuning in because they're bored at home. These are people that have buy-in. Their kid is participating in this sport. And it's up to us to really give them all the means necessary to fully understand what's happening so they can congratulate their kid when the time is right. They can console their kid so they can follow along and really understand what's happening every step of the way. And we're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. And yes, Mike is absolutely right. More broadcasting, using the proper commentators, like he's talking about, helps a lot. It's one thing to have a sports commentator, but to add in someone who knows the sport and can explain it in a way the spectators can understand and have a nice dialogue back and forth, that's key. Add on to that our app showing the scores. Now there's a lot more understanding, and I think that will bring more people in. More parents will be like, hey, this is amazing. You got to get your kid involved. My kid's having a great time. And it now brings more into the community. And the fencing community is amazing in itself.
Lefty, very briefly, for those who aren't familiar in the audience with the TBT app, could you give
Yeah.
a quick 10-second overview? What is it? What does it do?
Yeah, sure. So Touch by Touch TBT is a scorekeeping app where spectators, coaches, fencers can follow along. They can see meet score, individual records, and it's literally happening touch by touch as the bout goes on. So you have your scorekeepers keeping it either via app or the website. You can follow along in real time. And that's not something that's really out there right now. So it's a way of connecting the spectator, but also giving the coaches a perspective that they usually don't have. Now they know where everything is for their team. Are they close? How's their squad doing? How are their individuals doing? Do they need to sub? It gives opportunities for strategy while also just giving an overview of what's happening in each meet.
That's going to bring depth to the competitions. Mike, I'd be curious on the more fun side of things. Did you have any pre-match rituals, either for yourself or with your team, quirky traditions, things that you do or did when you were getting ready to fence?
We have lots of different things that we do. Part of our team philosophy with the Voorhees team, we talk about legacy a lot. Not just going through it and taking and reaping all the benefits of what fencing is, but how can you leave behind something that you find valuable as a fencer and as a person? On our team, we don't have captains. We have senior leaders. This is becoming more and more popular because when you have captains, you have a single person who may or may not be able to get along with other people. Whereas if you have a group of people, it's a team approach. And they all offer something a little bit different. So usually our seniors will get together and they'll talk about what's going to happen. They'll amp up the team and whatever the atmosphere is. Coming off of a loss is very different than coming off of a win going into the next meet. And this season especially, we had 3 dual meets in a row. And so there was no time to make corrections. There was no time for a good practice session in there. So the reality is you have to talk to your team, encourage them, and stay positive, most importantly. One of the things is our fencing uniforms are all white. That's a tradition. You can have different colors, that is allowed, but I guess we're sticklers for tradition because everybody still wears the whites, except when it comes to our socks. All of our high school teams wear a different color socks based on the school that they go to. So they have either a symbol or their team logo. And for us, we have a little bit of a sock check, making sure that the red sock is on the front leg of every one of our fencers. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But those are some of the little quirky things that we do. There's also some music. If we have a home meet, the home meet is more of a celebration of being able to do this sport together. And sure, we're competitive. Our record kind of stands for that. But we also have these fun things where we play music while we're setting up. We warm up together, both the guys and the girls team. We warm up together. We prepare. We get our heads set for the competition. And we try to do it out of that sense of respect and commonality with the sport itself. If you can't hold that high respect for an opponent and for referees and everybody being there, you can't do the sport. Lefty hit on that earlier. It's a sport that is inherent with the idea of respect. And so those are some of the things that we do.
Lefty, how about at the collegiate level? Any pre-match rituals, quirky traditions?
Yeah, very similar. The kids are playing music to get warmed up, but college is slightly different. Instead of having just a single dual meet that they're preparing for several dual meets in a single day. So music to begin with, people go stretch on their own a little bit, but before everything gets started, the whole team huddles together. And one of our leaders or a coach or anyone that's got something that they want to portray to the team, they get in the middle of the huddle and they give that speech and that motivation and that encouragement and reminder that, yes, you're the single person on the strip, but you've got your squad behind you. You've got your team cheering you on. And it's a little bit of getting everyone pumped up and ready to go. And then it finishes with everyone getting hands in and doing that one team cheer just to get the team fired up and ready to go. And then they are off to the races. And it's now the squads taking care of each other. And then Sabre tends to finish quickly. So Sabre would usually shift around to foil and epee and making sure that they know they're being watched and they have that support. So as squads would finish, they would migrate to the others and support them. But in the beginning, it's bringing everyone together, reminding each other that it's a family, it's a team, we have each other's back, and just going out there with all you got.
Before we sign off, I'd like to get just final thoughts from you, Mike, specifically, and you as well, Lefty.
There's a lot of misconceptions about how our programs start. Being a part of the NJIFA has been a very rewarding experience for me. I feel very honored to have been in the position that I'm in. And I've also been able to learn about the extensive history of high school fencing in New Jersey. We've been here for 100 years. And over the years, we've tried to help start new programs. And our biggest challenge are those misconceptions, even to this day. We've been around for 100 years, and Lefty hit on this before, like, oh, I don't want to have weapons in my school because that's been a big thing lately. There's a very famous story of one of our Olympians needing to go out to one of the universities to explain to the board and to the president that they should not cancel their fencing program because of their zero tolerance policy on campus, because of the idea of having weapons on campus. So we've had to adapt to these things. I feel like we've been doing a good job with it, but there's still some misconceptions about how expensive it is and how difficult it is to start a program. And the biggest thing that we hear from many athletic directors is that they don't want to start something and then have it fizzle out. Well, if you look at the teams that have had programs, Voorhees has had a program since 1975 when it opened. North Hunterdon even older than that, but it's the same story everywhere you go. The longevity of the sport is a real representation of the longevity in the Olympic level. You get these little pockets where we feel that there would be a great opportunity for a team to start, and you get shut down because of some of these misconceptions or competing with other sports. When in reality, fencing is a great sport for both boys and girls to commit to, and it only takes about 9 people to field a team. 3 foil fencers, 3 saber fencers, 3 épée fencers at first, and they could be co-educational. They could be co-ed. They could be from both teams because the NJSIA has worked to enable us to start programs. I think that message needs to be a little bit pushed, a little bit more. Hey, this is a great opportunity. We talk about going from high school up to Lefty to the NCAA. We have kids that exit our programs that aren't planning on fencing in college, and yet they end up being walk-ons to many college programs because of the caliber of fencing that happens in New Jersey. And I don't think people are aware of this. And I think it would be really good for us to be able to have that message pushed out a little bit more so that people aren't afraid of the dangers of fencing and they might be a little bit more accepting to our sport.
Lefty, how about yourself? Final thoughts around fencing itself?
I'm going to be totally cliche here and I'm going to sum it up in one word. And it's pretty much why we're doing this, but it's education. I mean, people just don't know. A lot of people don't know what questions to ask or even who to ask. So for me, I think it's going to come down to being that person, being that group that gives this sport a name and that right of here's who we are and what we do and how amazing the sport is. But it's about educating the people who don't know and answering the questions they don't know how to ask, the questions they don't know to ask, being the people they can go to in the future. And with Mike, he's very knowledgeable. He's someone you can go to. I'm someone you can go to. There are so many coaches and athletes alone that you can go to for these questions. And it's going to be about educating people and really getting them to understand that fencing isn't the invisible sport. It's been around since the beginning. It's a sport that is emotional. In fencing, everything's happening in the blink of an eye. You look at saber that a lot of people can't follow. We want to be the people that help you follow. Foil, there's a lot of back and forth. Why is there a white light? What, they didn't get a point? What is this? Épée, they both hit, they both get a touch. What's this nonsense? There's so many unknowns and so many small little details in fencing that people just have trouble understanding. And my goal is let's get those people to understand it. Mark, I'm going to pick on you for a second. When I first met you, you had no idea what your son had gotten himself into. You had no idea how to follow the sport in any way, shape, or form. And who did you keep asking questions to?
You.
Yeah. Okay. So, prime example, you've got a parent who's trying to support their kid the best way they can, but have no knowledge of anything the kid's doing. So let's educate them. Let's give them that purpose and that sense of pride in what their kid is doing.
Yeah. Speaking as a parent, by the way, you want to support your child, you want to yell what they should be doing, but you have no idea yourself. So you've been instrumental in the education. Everything you just described, Lefty, I've had that thought of what is this nonsense? How come there's no point? As a parent in the stands, anything that helps me understand better what's happening down there is welcomed. I want to applaud both of you guys for what you've done for the sport, for what you're still doing for the sport. I know it's not always glamorous, but you guys are making a big difference in New Jersey for sure in fencing. And I want to just applaud both of you for your work with it. I also want to
Thank
thank
you.
everyone for listening to the episode. This is episode 1 of Beyond the Bout. If you enjoyed it, please follow, share, let folks know about it. Help us grow the fencing community one conversation at a time. For more updates and upcoming guests, check us out at tbtfencing.com. You can follow us on Instagram as well. And until next time, I want to thank you, Lefty. I want to thank you, Mike. Stay sharp, and we'll see you beyond the bout.